Have you ever felt like the world had written you off before you even had a chance to prove yourself? Picture this. A young girl, barely 3 years old, watches as her mother is dragged to the executioner's block. Her father, the most powerful man in England, declares her illegitimate, a bastard unworthy of the throne. She's stripped of her title, her inheritance, and very nearly her life. The courtiers whisper that she'll never amount to anything. The odds are stacked impossibly against her. Yet this same girl would rise to become one of history's most magnificent rulers, transforming England from a fractured, debt-ridden backwater into a golden empire that would dominate the world stage for centuries. Her name was Elizabeth Tudor, and her story isn't just history. It's a masterclass in resilience, strategic brilliance, and the unstoppable power of refusing to accept the limitations others place on you. If you've ever been underestimated, overlooked, or told you weren't good enough, Elizabeth's journey will set your soul on fire. The Princess Nobody Wanted. Born on September 7th, 1533, Elizabeth entered a world that had already decided she was a disappointment. Her father, King Henry VIII, had torn England apart from the Catholic Church, divorced his first wife, and risked civil war, all for a male heir. When Elizabeth arrived as a girl, Henry's rage was palpable. Her mother, Anne Boleyn, had failed to deliver the son that would secure the Tudor dynasty. 3 years later, Anne was executed on trumped-up charges of adultery and treason. Elizabeth was declared illegitimate and removed from the line of succession. Imagine being a toddler and having your entire identity erased overnight. The princess became an afterthought, shuffled between households, her future uncertain. But here's where Elizabeth's story becomes extraordinary. She refused to disappear. While other children in her position might have crumbled under the weight of rejection and danger, young Elizabeth became a student of survival. She threw herself into her education with ferocious intensity, mastering Latin, Greek, French, Italian, and Spanish. She studied history, theology, and philosophy. She learned to read people, to understand the deadly chess game of Tudor politics, and most importantly, she learned patience. Elizabeth understood something that would serve her throughout her life. Knowledge is power, and timing is everything. Surviving the storm. Elizabeth's teenage years were a gauntlet of life-threatening challenges that would have broken most people. When her father died and her young half-brother Edward VI took the throne, she navigated the treacherous waters of Protestant reform. When Edward died and her Catholic half-sister Mary I seized power, Elizabeth found herself imprisoned in the Tower of London, the same place her mother had been held before her execution. Mary suspected Elizabeth of plotting against her. One wrong word, one perceived betrayal, and Elizabeth would face the executioner's axe. The pressure was suffocating. Courtiers urged Mary to eliminate the Protestant threat once and for all. But Elizabeth had learned the art of strategic ambiguity. She bent without breaking, professed loyalty without compromising her core beliefs, and waited. She knew that survival wasn't about dramatic gestures. It was about outlasting your enemies. For 5 years, she walked the razor's edge between life and death, never knowing if each day would be her last. Think about that the next time you face a difficult period in your life. Elizabeth endured half a decade of existential threat, and she emerged stronger, wiser, and more determined than ever. The Coronation of Courage. On November 17, 1558, Queen Mary I died, and Elizabeth, against all odds, became Queen of England at age 25. The nation she inherited was a disaster. The treasury was empty. England was at war with France and losing. Religious conflict threatened to tear the country apart. Foreign powers circled like vultures, assuming this young, unmarried woman would be easy prey. The Spanish ambassador wrote dismissively that Elizabeth would need to marry quickly because a woman could never rule alone. The French mocked her as the illegitimate daughter of a whore. Even her own advisors doubted whether she had the strength to lead. Her response? She proved every single one of them wrong. Her coronation procession through London revealed the leader she would become. While previous monarchs had maintained regal distance, Elizabeth stopped to speak with common people, accepted flowers from children, and promised to be a mother to her nation. She understood something revolutionary for her time. True leadership isn't about domination, it's about connection. I have already joined myself in marriage to a husband, namely the Kingdom of England, she declared, holding up her coronation ring. It was a brilliant political move that allowed her to maintain independence while satisfying her subjects' need for commitment. The Golden Age begins. What followed was nothing short of miraculous. Elizabeth assembled a team of brilliant advisors, William Cecil, Francis Walsingham, and others, but she never surrendered her authority. She made the final decisions, and she made them with a strategic genius that still astounds historians today. She established the Elizabethan religious settlement, finding a middle path between Catholic and Protestant extremes that brought relative peace after decades of bloodshed. While she couldn't please everyone, she created space for England to breathe and prosper. She rebuilt the treasury through careful financial management and strategic trade expansion. She invested in exploration, sending adventurers like Sir Francis Drake and Sir Walter Raleigh to challenge Spanish dominance and establish English presence in the New World. She cultivated the arts, and England experienced a cultural renaissance. William Shakespeare, Christopher Marlowe, and Edmund Spenser created works that still define Western literature. The English language itself was transformed and elevated during her reign. But Elizabeth's greatest triumph came when she faced her ultimate test, the storm that forged a legend. In 1588, King Philip II of Spain, the most powerful monarch in the world, assembled the largest naval fleet ever seen, the Spanish Armada. 130 ships carrying 30,000 men set sail to invade England, overthrow Elizabeth, and return the nation to Catholic rule. England's navy was smaller, less experienced, and outgunned. Military experts gave Elizabeth little chance of survival. Her advisors urged her to flee London and prepare for the worst. Elizabeth refused to run. Instead, she rode to Tilbury, where her troops were assembled, and delivered one of history's most stirring speeches. "I know I have the body of a weak, feeble woman, but I have the heart and stomach of a king, and of a king of England too, and think foul scorn that Parma or Spain or any prince of Europe should dare to invade the borders of my realm." Can you imagine the courage that took? To stand before your army, acknowledge the prejudices against you, and then transcend them through sheer force of will and conviction. The English Navy, inspired by their queen's courage and aided by superior tactics and fortunate weather, shattered the Armada. It was one of the most decisive military victories in history, and it announced to the world that England and Elizabeth were forces to be reckoned with. The legacy of the Virgin Queen. Elizabeth ruled for 45 years, transforming England from a vulnerable island nation into a global power. She never married, never had children, but she mothered an entire nation into greatness. When she died on March 24th, 1503, she left behind a prosperous, confident England that would go on to build the largest empire the world had ever seen.
But Elizabeth's legacy transcends military victories and economic prosperity. Her real gift to history was proving that leadership has nothing to do with gender, birthright, or the circumstances of your birth, and everything to do with intelligence, courage, and an unshakable commitment to your vision. She was underestimated, dismissed, and nearly destroyed, yet she rose to become Gloriana, the greatest monarch of her age. Your golden age awaits. So what does Elizabeth's story mean for you, right here, right now, in the 21st century? It means that your past doesn't define your future. Elizabeth was declared illegitimate, but she became legendary.
It means that patience and preparation beat impulsive action. Elizabeth survived by learning, watching, and waiting for her moment. It means that you don't need anyone's permission to be great. Elizabeth ruled alone in an age when everyone said it was impossible. It means that your greatest challenges can become your greatest triumphs. The Spanish Armada could have destroyed Elizabeth. Instead, it immortalized her. Whatever obstacles you're facing today, whether it's doubt from others, limited resources, past failures, or seemingly impossible odds, remember the girl who lost everything before she was 4 years old and still became the golden heart of a nation. Elizabeth didn't wait for perfect conditions. She didn't wait for everyone to believe in her. She didn't wait for permission. She decided who she was going to be, and then she became it. Your call to action. History isn't just about the past. It's a mirror that shows us what's possible in our own lives. Elizabeth I proved that one person, armed with courage, intelligence, and unwavering determination, can change the world. Now, it's your turn. What throne are you meant to claim? What kingdom are you meant to build? What impossible odds are you meant to overcome? Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop listening to the voices that say you're not ready, not qualified, not enough. Elizabeth wasn't supposed to be queen, but she became the greatest ruler England ever knew. Your golden age doesn't begin when conditions are perfect. It begins when you decide it begins. Take the first step today. Invest in your education like Elizabeth did. Build your strategic patience. Assemble your team of advisors. Face your Spanish Armada with courage and conviction. The world is waiting for your reign. Will you answer the call? Discover more inspiring stories of historical figures who overcame impossible odds to change the world. Subscribe to our newsletter for weekly motivation drawn from history's greatest leaders. Because the past isn't just history, it's your roadmap to an extraordinary future.